Review for chapter 1. In this video, we'll be going through chapter 1.1, which is Introduction to System of Linear Equations. We'll be knowing what is a linear equation, what type of linear equation we'll be solving, types of ways we can solve it, solution set, types of solutions, and types of consistent and inconsistent solutions. Okay. So the first important word for the whole concept is linear. What does linear mean? Linear just means a line. So the whole concept of this course is to talk about linear line and show how to solve it. So for example, everybody knows this. So this is a linear line. This shows a line is straight. This is the equation of y is equals to mx plus b. So the whole concept of linear algebra is to solve equations of straight lines. But it gets complex as we move on, because the more terms we add, it's going to turn into planes. We'll go 3D and it gets kind of complex. So this is the basic form of linear equations right here. X, and b. This b, we consider this to be a solution. A is just the coefficient. And x represents the values we're trying to solve for. So a's are the coefficient, x is the values we're trying to solve for, b is the solution. Okay, let's go to the other page. So here, what is a linear equation? As we talked about, linear equations, it's just equation that shows a line, but a set of linear equations are more than one linear equation. So consider this. So this is your first equation, this is the second one. So both combined creates a system. I think in high school, maybe middle school, we knew how to solve system of linear equations, but we only had two equations, right? Two equations. We could solve it using substitution, elimination, addition, etc. So when you have two set of equations, it's so easy to solve it. We've been doing it for years, but the problem comes in when you start adding one more equation to it. Like imagine, like this is the thing you've been doing for years, and imagine you add one more linear equation. It's gonna be a nightmare to solve. So to solve it, we use matrices. So the first step to solve it is know how to represent the equation in terms of matrix. So the first one is the coefficient matrix. The coefficient matrix just shows like the values that the coefficient x holds and y holds. So the first one, it's going to be 2 and 3, first equation, second equation 4 and 5, third one 1 and 5. This is the coefficient matrix, but the most important type is the augmented matrix. You need to know how to write an equation in augmented matrix. It's the same thing. So you have the coefficient matrix right here, but make a dashed line and put the solutions for the equations on the right side. So you can solve the matrix this way, but the thing is it keeps on getting complex. Like imagine you keep on adding variables. Like imagine x1, x2, x3 is equals to 4. Like how many variables do we have? You have 1 variable, 2 variable, 3 variable. What does this represent? It represents a plane. So I have an example here. So for the first one, we just have two set of linear equations. So what is it? You have two variables. Also, when you try to solve a system of linear equations, try to represent the variables as x1 and x2. So this one, try to represent it as x1. x2 is equals to 0. 5x1 plus is equals to 1. Try and represent the values in forms of x1, x2, because like it's gonna make everything easier. You can go back, you can do reverse substitution to find the values. So Let's keep on going. So when you have two lines, when you have two linear equations with like two variables, you get linear lines, straight lines. They meet and you get a solution. Everything changes when you add more variables to it. Like imagine you have three equations and you have three variables. As I told before, try and write it as x1, x2, and x3. Makes everything easier. So when you have three different types of three variables and three different types of equations, you get a really crazy solution set, which includes planes. So it gets really hard. You can probably solve this using like basic algebra, but like this is really hard. You need to spend hours. The best way you can solve it is by using Gaussian elimination, like row reduction and Gauss-Jordan elimination. We can go over that in the second video, but like, okay. So now we go over types of solutions in a linear system. So I talked about solutions before. So when two lines are like solved algebraically and they meet at one point, you have a solution. Let's keep on going. In linear algebra, you always have three types of solutions. So the first one and I don't know if it's like the most common one is this one, but the first one is an inconsistent system which has zero solution. Like imagine two set of linear equations, like this is the first one and this is the second one. And if they're parallel and they never meet, that means the system is inconsistent and there's no solution. The second one is the most common one, is when they meet at one point. When two sets of equation meet at one point, you have one solution that makes the equation come true. So we call it a consistent system with one solution. The third one is also a consistent system, but that only happens when you have two lines that are over each other, that are together. Like I showed it here, the line in green and the line in pink, they're the same line. When the two lines are the same, they have infinite solutions, and the system is consistent. So this was the most basic one. When you have like two equations, it gets complex when you have like more variables. I will talk about how to solve when you have more than three variables and more than three equations in another